My name is Patrick Hiller, and I'm the Executive Director of the War Prevention Initiative by the Trubitz Family Foundation in Portland, Oregon. I also teach in the Conflict Resolution Program at Portland State University. I consider myself a peace scientist, that is, examining the causes of war and conditions for peace. And one of my primary objectives is to contribute to the prevention and ending of all wars. And I think peace science has a key role to play there. To get to a world beyond war, we need to recognize that we know that there are more and more effective alternatives to war and violence. And that includes achieving security without the use of force. In the current security dilemma, security, in particular national security, is unfortunately defined in relation to military power and its projection. And I think it is necessary to shift away from this archaic state system security paradigm to one that reflects human and planetary needs. So we really need to think about that the biggest problem of what is called collective security, which we can see, for example, with NATO, is that it is guided by a militarized response to threats of members of the collective. Those threats can be perceived or real. So again, there is this traditional focus in security thinking that emphasizes the nation state and competition for power in that international system. And we need to move toward understanding security as a basic human needs and toward a concept of common security, which is quite simple. No one is safe until all are safe. Common security concept is one that does not go at the expense of others and not at the expense of the planet. When we talk about collective security, the problem is not the idea of some collective security understanding in itself. The problem is that inherent reliance on military force and fighting wars to achieve those collective security goals. When I talk about common security and no one is safe until all are safe, I do not come from a perspective of some kind of naive pacifism and the idea of can't we all get along? I am talking about a very strong field of practice, of research, increasingly professionalized, where we have an exhaustive list of viable, nonviolent alternatives to any form of war, any form of collective or political violence. We have the whole field of conflict resolution. We know enough about good governments. We know about enhancing the role of women in peace and security. We know about human rights. We know about public advocacy, nonviolent civil resistance. We have proof how effective it is. We know what works. And when we talk about common security, we know how to achieve it. So we need to help bringing in experts from our field into the discourse so we can start changing the language and how we think about international crises, how we think about situations where the commonly used approach would have been a militarized response. As we want to appropriate the language of security for what we think it really means. In fact, there is a study that has shown if the public is made aware of alternatives to war, they are less likely to support it. And I believe the importance is to show that the concept of common security is real, that is based on a very real list of viable alternatives to war and violence, and that we need to inform our friends, our neighbors, our media, our elected officials about those and support organizations that work in that area. The old security paradigm, security through strength, is really embedded in that still dominating war system. So what we can achieve if we really initiate more peace systems thinking, peace systems action, we can start creating that counterframe to this security dilemma and really get to common security. No one is safe until all are safe. Sometimes we overthink security. Let's just narrow it down to the most basic. No one is safe until all are safe, and we don't need wars to achieve that.